Good morning. This is Jason Dean. Happy Friday. It is 10:29 Friday morning. Pretty nice day. It was supposed to be crappy. I saw heard about the forecast for this weekend. It was supposed to be pretty crappy and rainy, which has been a thing as of late almost every week. In fact, every week for feels like months where it's been we had a few nice days during the week and then it just rains all weekend. So, but it is what it is. So yeah, I want to thank. Got some new subscribers this week, and love the folks commenting on the videos. It's been a blast. I've been doing a lot of music shows, and I've been doing, obviously some movies. I finally did a show. Well, I should say I finally watched a movie that I had on my shelf for so long, until the end of the world. A Wim Wenders film that came out in 1991. I had always heard so much about this movie, and I bought this movie about a year and a half ago or so. I got it at Opera House Video, which is the video shop here in town in Belfast, the only video rental place in the entire state, which is insane. I still go there, and they have these really big sales. They do it like twice a month. Well, I wish it was twice a month, but they do it like twice a year, where they have tons of stock and inventory that they just can't, and tons of movies they just can't really put out in the store because they already have thousands and thousands of titles, but they just don't have room for a lot of these other movies. And so people donate movies there all the time, and then they acquire titles and things like that. Tons of VHS, which is crazy, and a shit ton of mainly VHS. I mean, mainly DVDs, and then also Blu-rays. So they have these sales where they sell off those movies that are, and they're marked down. They're like super cheap. And this movie, Until the End of the World, I bought a while ago, and it was a beautiful, it is a beautiful Criterion Blu-ray collection. And I finally watched it the other night, and I just uploaded the video of kind of my review, or me talking about the movie. And I don't know, I was really I couldn't get all the way through it. So anyway, check it out, and I want to thank again all the folks who've been chiming in, and some folks are really great about making movie recommendations for me. Most of the time, I am not aware of those movies, or definitely haven't seen them. So it's very, very cool, and to me, that's the best part of this channel. Is just the exchanging ideas, finding other people that are just really excited about movies, and all those things, and then just that's all tied to things in the arts. So very, very cool. So today's show, I've been slowly picking away. I've done quite a few movies. I think I've done about probably about 7 movies, and I am starting back into watching these movies. And man, I watched a killer movie last night. Really excited to talk about this movie. But did about 7 or 8 shows so far where I've been covering all of these amazing westerns that I got here, and every one has been fantastic. I really love the variety. There's some American, there's a lot of Italian kind of spaghetti westerns also in here, and there's also some. There's even a Roy Rogers film, which is like one of the first westerns. And again, it's one of those things. This is like, I don't know. I think this is a really good thing for, like, if you kind of consider yourself a fan of westerns, just the genre at its core, where it gives you a pretty cool lineage of where a lot of things came, where the genre itself started, more or less, and where it kind of evolved. And it's pretty cool. I love taking, when I get into a genre or a style or what have you. A lot of the times, if I get really into it, I like to take a deep dive, and I like to trace kind of the lineage, and where maybe what influenced what, and what maybe what decade, where what was When did that movie or style, or that blueprint for a particular style kind of start? When was like the first, vampire movie? When was the first slasher film? That kind of thing. Or the first giallo film, or so I love kind of tracing that back, and I've been kind of doing that with westerns. And I own quite a few westerns, but when it comes to more of the exploitation side of things, that's my jam. I did, but I will say probably my favorite all around western is The Unforgiven by Clint Eastwood. But overall, I always gravitate towards the kind of the more raw side of things, like I do in general. And but seeing, taking that deep dive of like what influenced a lot of these Italian directors, because the western is the western, or I should say the western cinema itself is, inherently kind of an American thing. So it's interesting where it started here and really influenced a lot of other directors, and it became this, massive genre, and still is very, very popular. And I don't own a ton of westerns. I mean, I do own a lot, a pretty decent amount, but not a lot on Blu-ray. That's something I want to go into, and especially in the more kind of the sleazier European, spaghetti western films. Those films tend to be a lot darker and a lot more gritty. And today's movie is on a movie that is, it's brutal as all hell. I can't believe, I was kind of blown away by this film. It's uber low budget and it's badass. I was I've said a couple times in previous videos where, I get to a certain, I've seen a couple of movies, or I see a particular movie and I'm like, this is my favorite in the set. I can't really say that anymore because I keep seeing movies that just blow me away even more, and this is kind of an example of it. This movie is just so badass. Cry Blood Apache, and it came out in 1970. Yeah, it was directed by Jack Starrett. Super badass movie. Really, really violent. Like, a lot of the Italian and a lot of the European westerns are known for, the darker kinds of vibes and the more brutal, kind of harsh nature of the western. Probably realistically closer to what it was actually like to be a cowboy in that time, and living in a time when you essentially were isolated and had to really fend for yourself, and the Wild West and all of those things. And I feel like those movies probably were more accurate. But this movie it's an American movie, but it's uber low budget. Came out in 1970. Yeah, and it's basically about this band of these like totally like insane cowboys that have gold fever, and they are trying to acquire this gold, and they are trying to essentially kind of build their own little town. And they're willing to kill and do anything to make this happen. And it's brutal. I mean, this movie's really brutal. It's one of the more violent movies. It might be the most brutal movie that I've seen on here. It's definitely like it's uber low budget too. It's super low budget. It's really it's pretty graphic. And again, I can't believe this came out in 1970. It's just wild. Really great cast too. You have Mary Marie Ghana, Jack McCrea, Joel Joel McClea, and also, which was a big surprise, one actor I totally recognized in it was Jack Starrett, who was one of the actors in First Blood, the first of a series, of the first film in that franchise, Rambo. Yeah, it was like, holy shit, I totally know this guy. He was one of the cops in First Blood, and he plays a total like shitbag, total asshole, and he eventually gets killed in that movie. and he plays this. He almost plays the same kind of guy in this movie. And this came out '70, and I believe First Blood came out in like '82. It came out in the early '80s. So he's like really young in this movie, Jack Starrett. But he's awesome. But he kind of plays the same kind of character. He kind of plays this total scumbag, and he's kind of this like really. He's like a preacher. He's like this kind of like a religious man, like a, and almost like a cult leader. But he's kind of like this religious guy. He's a preacher, and he's always like quoting scripture. He's completely insane. Yeah, and it's it's insane. And what one of the cool things about this movie is it's actually a revenge movie. These monstrous cowboys, they kill this woman who is a Navajo Indian, and her, I think it's her husband or her lover, who is another Native American Navajo warrior, comes across her body and comes across a series of all of these other people that this group of these maniacs just like kind of slaughtered. And he goes on this quest of revenge to go after them. And it's more, I don't know, it's kind of, the first two acts of this movie, you really get basically a sense of just how barbaric and monstrous these people are. And then they end up kidnapping these Navajo women, and they end up getting killed, and then it turns, by the second or third act, it becomes kind of a revenge film and a chase film. It's really good. I mean, it's super awesome, and the ending is really unexpected. I was really surprised. It's a really surprising ending, and I thought it was really, really cool. There's some scenes too during the kind of the revenge sequences where these people are killed, and some of the most, I have to say, some of the most creative ways I've seen. It's so awesome. Just, it's really good, and it's shot all in the desert, and the cinematography is super badass. Like, and again, it's like uber low budget. I love John Ford, and I love the big budget kind of 1950s style, Western, the more American style. And at that time, those were like big kind of big scale epic films. But this is like so low budget. I thought when I started watching this movie, I'm like, this is probably an Italian film, but it wasn't. It's an American movie, but it's super low budget, and it's really gritty, and it's definitely an exploitation movie. It's awesome. I was blown away by it, and had never heard of this movie before. Never knew anything about this movie at all. So it was a really nice surprise. The transfer, again, these are all on DVDs. There's 4 discs on in this collection. Quality's not great, but it's all right. But this movie would be super amazing to buy on Blu-ray. I mean, it would probably be amazing. It would probably look absolutely stunning because of uh, the cinematography and the locations. It really feels like a Western. Like, it really, it's, because it's so low budget, it's so gritty, and it feels like, everything you're seeing is real and lived in. But yeah, amazing film. I finished this up last night, and man, this movie was just kick ass. Cry Blood Apache, 1970. Can't recommend this movie enough. It was, and again, it was directed by. What was it directed by? Now I can't find it. Directed by Jack Starrett. Highly, highly recommend this movie. It's super awesome, super gritty, true country or true Western exploitation, 101. So thanks again, and we will see you next time. Peace.